folks. This is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa.
Going to my mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. Last night I was on television. I was on a telephone, rapidly rising, and with I don't know. COVID has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's lives reflected in the NHDI. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him in the brigade season. He'll be gotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. NATO's purpose is to defend against aggression. Let me make that near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway. My mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. I don't think as the idea that political coverage. I want to thank and recognize Dr. John Kingersong. I can't get this to function at all. My mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea.
I keep forgetting I'm the president. America can be described in one word. Suffered succotash. My mind's going blank now. What the hell's going on here? Last night I was on television. I was on a telephone. I want to welcome Dr. John King. What the hell's going on here? My mind's going blank now. Oh, dear Lord, if it wasn't so sad, it would be the best comedy ever. But it's truly, truly sad, folks. We're being gaslit by a corrupt political class in Washington, D.C. for a man who either has Alzheimer's, dementia, or just is the loser we always thought he was. Welcome back to the program on a Monday. It's just another manic Monday. Wish it were Sunday, because that's my fun day. Who was that? The Bengals, that's right. Craig Fisher says I should start with a cop line. Well, thank you, Craig. But your request came a bit late, and I also get a copyright claim every time I play the cop line. But I'm willing to play that. Used to share the revenue with them, but then they changed that. I didn't mind sharing the revenue, but they started, God bless it, this little hair keeps, I gotta get a haircut here, folks. Start looking like a hippie here. Looking like a hippie, and the hair is all over the place. Right, Pierre Orban from an absolutely freezing and wet Cape Town. Oh, stop complaining. It's just a flesh wound. Vilma Erasmus, Charles von Onslen, the voice of reason, Myra Page, Teresa Ance is back once again. Monray Siebritz is in. How's it going, Monray? And Brian Lawrence and Trevor Bush drop in a bucket. And then Citizen Concern played the full Ronaldo video this morning. Surprised it was not blocked by YouTube. Well, so am I. Also, if I played it, you can be guaranteed that I would be shut down instantly. The trolls would come on the channel, they'd falsely report it, and YouTube would take the video off. But Citizen Concern is a black woman. She can say and do what she wants and isn't censored by YouTube. Must be nice, very nice to have that kind of flexibility. Carlos Putter's back again, Light Rain, Ulrich Fenter. Allison Johnson, Ron is in from Bloemfontein. Sean Manish in from the Garden Route. Miss Pumba. Giuseppe Garibaldi says, I watched Napoleon Dynamite. Your namesake is a co-producer. Is there someone named Chris Wyatt that's a producer? Didn't know that. Excuse me. George is in from Hackport, and he says that my video had 3,340 views. Yeah, but it kind of makes my point, doesn't it? I mean, it kind of makes my point in that that video is not really exploding. It's actually below my trend line right now. Right now, an average video of this would have over 5,000 views, but it's only at 4,100, and it's picked up in the last hour, but just barely. Only getting about 300 views per hour. That just shows you the shadow banning and the nonsense. I put the whites only, I put Orania in the title, and it has no impact. Yet people in the UK who are simply looking for clicks, South African content creators simply looking for clicks get hundreds of thousands of views. It just shows you how corrupt the whole system is. But thank you for the update on that. It's now over 4,000. Thank you for that one. And yeah, so that's not what you see. That's what I see. YouTube is only telling you 3,400, but the actual figure is over 4,100 at the moment because YouTube gives the metrics in 3 different levels. Yeah, 4,100. It's only my 5th best performing video in the last 28 days at this stage. So it's not even, it's a middling video at best. Again, nobody gives a flying flip about objective analysis. LMC commented on my video, and I'll talk about it a little bit later on for those who are curious. Zelda's in from Scotland. You can take our laws, but you can never take our freedom. Smee again is back again. Debbie says, what stream were you doing with your awesome new Springbok shirt? Driving me nuts to remember. I did a stream, and I'm not sure which awesome new Springbok shirt you're talking about. You're talking about a jersey or the long sleeve polo, which I did the long sleeve polo for I did the prepared video for Stellenbosch, and the background was Mossel Bay. I'm not sure. Greetings from Istanbul, says Emery. Well, hey, what's going on in Istanbul? How is the Hagia Sophia? The heart of the Orthodox Church, stolen by Islam. Well, Laudy Monday's here, dropping a bucket. Charles says, when you watch the entire video, you actually get a much better picture of what Ronaldo's trying to highlight. Exactly. Ronaldo was trying to make a point about the hypocrisy, and now his life is turned upside down. This video aired 16 years ago. The fact that it's even showing, I mean, look, first off, is there no statute of limitations for this supposed violation of the law? You're gonna track someone down for something that said 1994? Give me a freaking break. It's ridiculous. Oh, yeah, no. That song is not owned by Joe Biden, and the owner is allowing people to share it, so I'm okay. Basically, Ronaldo's category proved his point with a subsequent response from the meeting. Exactly. Exactly right, Charles. And not only that, but the Independent Online, everybody pretty much except News 24, which has been smart about it, has opened themselves up to a serious lawsuit for criminal injuria and slander and libel. They have really screwed the pooch here. And a number of black South African content creators have basically set themselves up for bankruptcy. I'll tell you what, the law firm representing Ronaldo, assuming that's not a captured court and a legitimate decision is reached here, that firm is going to be making money for years. I don't know if Ronaldo will get any money, but they'll be making money for years, suing all of these people who have slandered Ronaldo. You see, the problem with this is that the inclination of white leftist liberals in South Africa and many black supremacists in South Africa is the moment that a white person is accused of being impolite, rude, arrogant, disrespectful, or racist, it must be true. Why? Because they're white. Do you know what that makes the accuser? A racist and a bigot at a minimum. I mean, this is just the reality, folks. The assumption. Look at the morons who attack me. Look at that dipshit from Amsterdam who lives on the garden route some of the year, who's attacked me and accused me of being a racist and threatened me. He's threatened me and then accused me of things I never said. Yeah, it's just pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. He mentions the football work. Yeah, I thought it was 2008, 2009, but they're saying it's 2010. Whatever the case is, it really isn't important at this moment. Yeah, it's a long time ago. Bunch of race hustlers. Exactly, Charles. Exactly right. When real racism is present every single day in South Africa with its racist laws discriminating against, why does anybody think it's okay to balance the scales out for past injustices by punishing people who weren't alive and aren't profiting from the past injustices? It's utter nonsense. Oh, but white people are rich because of apartheid. Really? Really? Have you seen poor Afrikaners living in settlements? Do you know most of my viewers who can't afford to give me a super chat? Seriously. Idiotic nonsense. And by the same token, people that say that black people only vote for the ANC, that's just as stupid. It's proven, and I proved it time and again. And 2 elections in a row have proven that that's a bankrupt concept. People just make assumptions based on ignorance and based on their fears. That's right. You can never balance the scales. Someone who was brought from Indonesia and put in slavery in 1665 can never be compensated for their suffering in 2024. And anyone descended from them doesn't deserve anything from that. That's utter nonsense. My ancestors were enslaved in the Caribbean by the English as slaves, not indentured servants, as slaves. Does that entitle me to? No, it doesn't entitle me to anything. It's utter nonsense. Yes, Helen, welcome to the party late. We've already discussed that, and nice for her to get to have it. I mean, well, isn't that special? She gets to have the video. If I did it, I would be censored. My channel would be shut down. You know, unbelievable. I'm so frustrated and tired of this nonsense of how South African YouTube content creators can dispute the jab, they can dispute the mask, they can call Fauci a liar and never get a strike. I do none of that. I falsely accused of that, and my channel gets shut down. You know, it's not even remotely fair. Not even remotely fair. And Citizen Concerned can say what the hell she wants and gets away with it. And play that video, which, by the way, is a copyright violation. That's Ronaldo's video, unless he gave her permission. It's a stupid concept. Charles, I will say this, however, though, all right? I did say this, and I stick this. God bless, that hair is driving me nuts. I will not change this position. I thought that the land decision at Codesa was a legitimate land decision in that they made the agreement that land claims could be valid back to the year 1910. And why is that germane? Because that's the year that South Africa became a country of such. Before 1910, it was a collection of Boer republics, the Orange Free State, the Suid-Afrikaanse Republiek, the Transvaal, and the Zulu Empire, the Natal Colony, the Cape Colony, a collection of African kingdoms. But the British forced the Union of Africa, Southern Africa, under the Union of South Africa Act in 1910 and created a country out of it in an effort to reconcile with the Boers. What a nonsense that was. And that's when the country really began as such. Before that, it was never any such thing as a country, even remotely, just spots on a map. So that's when it started. And in 1913, the Native Lands Act began the racial discrimination against black South Africans taking land away from them. And so the agreement on the land claims from 1995, 1999 is anyone could claim land since 1910, even if you weren't alive and defrauded. Because arguably the impact of what happened in 1910 still affected the descendants, the children, and then, of course, their grandchildren. And that's a reasonable argument. A reasonable argument. Yeah, so that's where. What is your view on the French election? France is dead, Trevor. France is gone. By the way, Trevor, you never answered my question about what she said. Hagia Sophia is still there, though I think the Center of Orthodox Christianity is St. George's Cathedral at the moment. Yes, that's true. Yeah, it's not. It was Emery. It was the Eastern Roman Empire. The center of civilization was there for centuries until the Turks burned it to the ground, raped and pillaged, impregnated all the Greek women that were there. Anyway, so, yep. Charles says, I agree. Unfortunately, the Boers who lost their lands after the Second Boer War lost out. However, never, ever is there a mention of that. Well, there's a mention by me, not to mention those who died in concentration camps, the tens of thousands who died there. 16,000 children died in those camps at least. Oh, Emery says, I don't dispute. No, I didn't say you were disputing. I'm just clarifying, folks. No arguments here with any of my viewers today. Winnie, you find him, have us back. Hey, Winnie, how's Texas? You still in Texas? Are you in Texas? Or am I getting the wrong Winnie? Helen says, yeah, so tell me about that. Tell me about that video. Ramon Ray says, the reason we don't see Ronaldo shopping for his new Lamborghini once the lawsuits are settled. Yeah, well, you guys are assuming the rule of law prevails in South Africa. I don't. I mean, when Alex Jones is found guilty in a $1 billion settlement and bankrupted because he erroneously claimed something didn't happen and it caused mental anguish, that's horse manure. Clearly after Brit scorcher policy, which cost my family 2 farms. Sorry to hear that, Chris. Greetings, says Gina Mullman. Welcome to everybody here, folks. God bless it. Something's going on with my forehead. It's really driving me nuts, this little bit of hair here. Gonna have to get the scissors out and do some whacking after this stream. Anyway, my Aranya video, let's see what the video itself says, and then I'll tell you what the actual count is right now. So this says it's 3,451, but the actual count, according to YouTube, is 4,200. So it's about 700 behind. But that's how YouTube works. I am talking about the people who make claims about lost land recent times. They stole our land. They must give it back. Yeah, exactly, Charles. That's just no different than Zimbabwe. Let's before we get into the news, let's talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. Zimbabwe. All right. Are you ready for this? Now, I'm getting a little rusty on my figures here. It's been a while, and the information disappeared. But the Commercial Farmers Union used to have this data published, and it was a matter of public record. But Zimbabwe had a population approaching 400,000 whites, 380,000 in 1980, even though now net migration was out of the country, not into the country. And so it all ended. Rhodesia went to Rhodesia, then became Zimbabwe with a stolen election by Mugabe and his thugs in 1980. They would have won it without stealing it, but they still stole it. Anyway, the ZANU came into power. It wasn't ZANU-PF until it crushed ZAPU and became ZANU-PF a few years later after they murdered thousands of Ndebele and Matabeleland, often on their knees with a bullet to the back of the brain pan. Those crimes against humanity yet to be prosecuted, and most of the people consequently responsible for that are long since dead and gone from this earth. But so a new day has dawned. It's Zimbabwe 1980. The British government, under the Lancaster House Agreement, offers to pay the money on a willing buyer, willing seller basis to sell farms to the government of Zimbabwe so that they can give it to poor black Zimbabweans. And so that's the plan. But what actually unfolds, ladies and gentlemen, is that the British government gives Zimbabwe over 63 million pounds, which today is a fortune. It's like $250 million, something like that. 63 million pounds from 1980 until about 1991, 92, when John Major's government comes in. The reason they stopped giving the money is because the money is not used to purchase farms for the benefit of war veterans or black Zimbabweans, but rather to enrich the elites in ZANU-PF at the time. So Mugabe and Sharon Speary and all of the scumbags in the Zimbabwean Defense Forces, police services, intelligence service, the CIO and such, all get these farms that they buy. So the British government says, enough of this, we're not paying for it. So from 1980 until the year 2000, you could not sell a hectare of farmland in Zimbabwe without the government's approval. You had to have the government's approval. This is a matter of record. This isn't speculation. This isn't some white extremist telling you. This is a fact. The government of Zimbabwe required that all land sales must be approved by their lands ministry before anyone could purchase it. From 1980 until 2000, 20 years, 42% of all land so designated by the black majority government of Robert Gabriel Mugabe, first as prime minister from 1980 to 1988, then as president from 1988 until he was ousted in 2017, every hectare of land was approved by ZANU and then ZANU-PF. Every hectare. No one could buy or sell any land. None. No commercial farmland. So they approved all the sales. Now, if they really cared about poor black Zimbabweans or war veterans, why didn't they use the 63 million pounds to buy farms and give them to those people? From 1980 to 1992 or thereabouts. 93, I think it was. Well, they didn't, because it wasn't about poor black Zimbabweans. It was never about that. It was always about enriching the elite. That's what the revolution was for. It wasn't for liberation or freedom or equality or equal rights. And arguably, it's the same thing with this generation of the ANC. There were genuine people who cared about that sort of thing back in the day, but they're all gone. Those fossils are gone because they are fossils. There's no one caring in the ANC about liberation, equality, and fairness and a rainbow nation today. Those people are extinct. They're like black rhinos. So 42% of all land sold. First right of refusal by the government. By the way, 38% of the commercial farmers, the 4,300 commercial farmers. So what's the math on? I've never done the math on that. So it's about 800 and some people. Let's see. 43%. Let's do the math on that real quick. So calculator. So 4,300 commercial farmers. 4,300 commercial farmers times 0.38. That means 1,634 roughly of the commercial farmers in Zimbabwe became farmers, purchased their farmland after 1980 with the approval of Mugabe. Yet Mugabe told the world, oh, the kith and kin, the settlers came in, stole our land, stole our land. Well, you had a chance to right that wrong for 20 years and you didn't do it. And then you sent your thugs to murder innocent white farmers and farm workers who are black. Yep, that's what actually happened in Zimbabwe. But the Western media, ignorant of history, ignorant of reality, ignorant of what's going on, much like the British content creators And many of the South African content creators who go to Oranje to find out what's going on in this racist white town. We must know what's going on. Gaten McKenzie and Nelson Mandela and Julius Malema and, the list goes on and on. We must find out. These racists. When they know virtually nothing about it, it's all for attention. Yes, Winnie, that's why I was asking whether you're in Texas, because Tropical Storm Beryl is barreling down on you. Questionable content on your Google Drive. Never heard of that before, Smee. I'm sorry to hear that. I'd recommend you get an account with Mega. Remember that? Kim.com? Mega still exists. It's still free. In fact, let me go check my Mega account, see if I can get into it. Mega.co.nz. Well, now it says Mega.io. Well, that's strange. Oh, they changed the decrypting, receiving account. I'm into my Mega account. So I'd recommend Mega. You get 50 gigabytes free. You could try that to put your data on. Always have a backup. So I have some YouTube live streams in here. Let me see if there's any in that folder. I've only used 639 megabytes, so clearly I don't have any live streams in there. Must be nothing there. Anyway. Yeah, so, yep. Kevin Sorbo on Hercules. That's loaded in there. So anyway, that's my Mega account, so I have it. I don't think that's legal to do that, Funsale, Kogenberg. Yep. Okay, what else we got here? Remember a person from Ian Smith's team was murdered and found in the Thames River? No, I don't recall that. All right, so there you go, folks. All right, let's go ahead and get to the news. We've got a lot of news. I'm going to zip through the headlines today. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. 100 plus people here. 100 days of no load shedding in South Africa. What's going on? Has Kogisenso Ramakopa solved the mystery that Andre de Ruyter was unable to solve? Well, it's a lot easier to do your job when people aren't trying to poison you and murder you every day. Just saying. Ramakopa obviously not facing assassination attempts like de Ruyter did. But both of them are drug on alternative power. A Proton Mail. Yep. That's based in Switzerland. I have a Proton Mail account, but they charge for anything over a minimum amount, and I'm not willing to pay for that service. So let's get to the news, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll go from there. South Africa marks 100 days without load shedding, but risks persist, say the genius himself, Mr. Happy Meal. Look at Mr. Happy Meal there. It's Munir Palapala. Yes. Despite praising an electricity milestone, Ramaphosa said the threat of load shedding remains. Last week marked 100 days, the longest stretch since the year 2020 with no load shedding in South Africa. Wow. Well, that doesn't mean you don't have power outages, but just no load shedding. It's like waking up in the Alps, folks. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones we used to know. Huh? Yeah, it's snowing in South Africa, folks. My goodness. In the Southern Hemisphere, it's snowing. Heavy rain and snow hits Western Cape as multiple cold fronts roll in. More than 120 millimeters of rainfall fell in the Boland town of Ceres. I've been to Ceres. Oh, my goodness. I was ziplining in Ceres. Icing conditions were brought by a cold front that caused widespread disruptions throughout the province. Significant rainfall was recorded Sunday and Monday, with Ceres receiving 123 millimeters in Elgin, 84. Wow. That's just cray-cray. Cray-cray. The Matroosberg Nature Reserve described the area as like waking up in the Alps as snowfall covered parts of the Western Cape. Wow, wow, wow. Look at this. Look at that. Ceres Tourism Board's Julian Muller said the farming town woke up to the surrounding mountain peaks being blanketed in snow. All three passes are covered in snow, but unfortunately the roads are closed at the moment. Look at that. Ooh, the Cape Winelands municipality confirmed that the Route 303 between Ceres and Citrusdal and the 46 between Ceres and Toes is closed due to snow. I've been on that road. My goodness. No, Smee, they're a cloud storage site. I don't know that they have email. I thought you were looking for storage. You said storage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, another sad tragedy of the ineffectiveness, the incompetence of South Africa's government is when people are attacked and wounded by criminals, they often die as a consequence of no or poor medical care. And that apparently was the case of the farm manager who was recently murdered. Dying farm manager rushed to hospital after brutal attack. Khahadnel was stabbed multiple times when 5 intruders broke into the farmhouse, and he died of his injuries. They rushed him to the Lapa Munich Hospital after 1 a.m. on July 1st. But there was no doctor on duty. No doctor. They couldn't locate a doctor to help him. So he died from his wounds because no physician was there to attend to his wounds. Wow. Incompetence. NUMSA, the South African Union, has lowered their demand from 13 to 9%. How about you lower demand from 9 to nothing? There you go. National Union of Mine Workers striking on the HAL train have amended their wage increase demand from 13 to 9%. Pakamile Hulubi Majola, spokesman for the NUMSA, has confirmed the trade union is now asking for just 9%. Yeah, well, there you go. They've been in talks since April 17th. 9%. They offered 5.6%, and they are now countering with 9%. Okay, split the difference and give them 7%, and then raise the rates on the HAL train so nobody can ride the train. There you go. At the Copacabana, the hottest spot north of Havana. Thank you, Mark Lawton, for subscribing. It's the Copacabana. Sorry, I was just breaking into dance with Koji Senso Ramakopa, the electric slide minister. You can do it. It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Anyway, so Ramakopa now wants to turn to renewables. Yes, the fantasy of renewables. Energy Electricity Minister Koji Senso Ramakopa plans to take an ultra-aggressive approach to rolling out renewable energy. Yes, he wants to do it on an unprecedented scale. Ooh, unprecedented scale. Just like his predecessor, Andre de Ruyter. Ladies and gentlemen, the MK party, Mkhonto we Sizwe party, withdrew its case claiming fraud in the election against the Independent Electoral Commission. However, the Independent Electoral Commission is now telling the court, go forward with the case. Make them prove their case. Wow. Because why? Because this throws shade on the legitimacy of the elections, which is what MK wanted. They didn't look for a court case. They have no evidence. Yep. The Electoral Commission of South Africa has taken a decisive stance by requesting that the Electoral Court reject MK's request to withdraw their court case. After accusing the IC of deliberate vote rigging, the MK party gave notice to the court that was withdrawing its case. But on Friday, the IEC wrote to the court saying the notice of the withdrawal was irregular and asked the court to set down the matter for hearing and arguments so the MK's allegations can be publicly ventilated and tested. Ventilated. I think they want to say aired. Nobody says ventilated. That's what gangsters do. They ventilate. Oh my goodness. Well, people in Johannesburg are suffering mightily from Eskom's ludicrous concept of charging people 200 Rand per month because they have prepaid meters. Shouldn't that already be part of the cost of the electricity? So now people who are desperate are really suffering because of this nonsense. Another money grab by Eskom. Impoverished Joburgers buckle under new monthly 200 Rand prepaid meter fixed electricity surcharge. The cost of prepaid electricity is becoming a heavy burden for Johannesburg residents after the introduction of 200 Rand monthly fixed charge. They'll go towards maintaining the infrastructure, which is what the charges for electricity are supposed to be. Yep. While 200 Rand may seem a small sum to middle or high income earners, for millions of Joburg's poor and unemployed residents, it means going a week without a meal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the case for mother of two, Whitney Peary of Pimville, Soweto. Now, let me tell you this sad story. She survives on 1,060 Rand a month in child social grants. Now, why is an adult surviving in child social grants? That's not what the money's for. It's supposed to supplement the fact that you have children, not be your source of income. Half of that goes to buying electricity. Wow. So in an average month, she spends 450 Rand on electricity. And now she's going to spend 200 more just to have a meter. Wow. Val says, convince me load shedding is not a scam. Yep. ANC literally sat on the bill to allow renewables for years. Yep. Despicable that those who can't afford healthcare are subject to crap, non-existent healthcare. My 65-year aunt now wastes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's insane. Sorry to hear that. Well, John Schlope, the disgraced, impeached former Western Cape High Court Justice, is now the top member of MK Party, and he is being nominated for the Judicial Services Commission, along with the likes of Julius Malema. So Glennis Breitenbach is also included in that from the DA, but she's not a nasty criminal like these guys. In a contemptuous development, the Coalition of Civil Society Groups has raised objections regarding the appointment of John Schlope to the Judicial Service Commission. Wow, the controversy stems from a letter addressed to the Honorable Speaker Toko Dididza, signed by organizations claiming to represent the interest of marginalized communities. These groups allege that Schlope's appointment would undermine democratic principles that serve the agenda of what they term white monopoly capital. Oh, God. Look, John Schlope is an inappropriate member of the Judicial Service Commission, and he's an inappropriate member of Parliament in South Africa, but that's not the reason why. Yes. Oh, I can't believe how stupid people around the world are. The African National Congress dismisses claims by Dudu Zuma Sambudla of causing chaos in the MK party. Now, ladies and gentlemen, hello, pot. This is kettle. You're black. This is the pot calling the kettle black. This is Dudu Zambudla claiming that the ANC is interfering in MK party structures, when we know for a fact, based on their public statements and their actions, that Jacob Zuma and MK are actually interfering and disrupting and trying to force ANC councillors in KwaZulu-Natal to resign so they can have by-elections. But they tried that strategy and it backfired. They got their hat handed to them. They lost those seats. Only secured one of those seats through this underhanded thing. And now they're accusing the ANC of doing what they're doing. Hello, pot. This is kettle. You're black. Yes, indeed. ANC acting spokesman Zubo Godlimpa has dismissed claims by MK member Dudu Zile Zuma Sambula that the party is behind MK's leadership troubles by attempting to infiltrate and usurp power. Here she, now she's put the honorable in front of her name. Oh, she is so full of herself. You can see the brown color of her eyes. She's that full. It is said that those who are anointed will not have easy in life. My role, I believe, is to facilitate the breaking of all barriers. Why is it in all caps? That have been brought by the generational curses brought against the black downtrodden children of our countries. You can refer to me, and what is this? Let me read what she's got to say here. Sorry. You can refer to me in any derogatory manner, even insult me. I am and always will be my father's defender. I am Bakambai Kababa. I will take it and wear it. Oh, good Lord. Vomit-inducing. That's what that is. Vomit-inducing. Wow. Anyway. Well, ladies and gentlemen, lots of criticism for South Africa's patronage cabinet. What else could you describe it? I mean, what was the purpose of this cabinet other than dilute the DA's representation in the government by 50%? Instead of 30% of ministries, they got just 20%. That would be, well, not 50%, by 1/3, I should say. Yeah, what was the purpose of this? Well, $35 million for the cabinet. People are upset about that. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, that's a drop in the bucket. The ANC steals more money than that before banks open every day. I wouldn't worry about $35 million in annual expenditures. But look at these three guys. Oh, John Steenhuisen tainting himself, standing up there with the cackling hyenas of Paul Mashatile, the corruption accused, and Cyril Ramaphosa, the corruption found. President Ramaphosa's new ministers and deputy ministers, a total of 75, and support staff will cost 670 million rand annually, including perks, according to Charles DeVette. Wow. There you go. It doesn't include the president's annual salary and the deputy president's salary. Wow. So are you upset about that? Let me just see. Let's just do a poll very quickly here. And we are at 126 people here. What do we peak at? 119. Okay, so let's get that. We're going to start a poll here, folks. Are you put off? Are you unhappy about Rand 670? One. Or are there bigger concerns? All right, hang on. We're going to put this poll up. God bless it. My typing is really sucking buttermilk here. Spent doesn't include an O in it, that's for sure. There's where the O goes over there. Cabinet. Are you, I got two unhappy about, my goodness, I'm really got some typo issues here. About, or are there bigger concerns? So let's put down, Okay, hang on, folks. Stick with me. It takes a while to put these polls in. I don't have a team doing here. All right, here you go. There's your poll. I've started the poll. So, are you concerned about the 670 million rand being spent on South Africa's cabinet, or are there bigger concerns? Thank you for the 128 people currently here sucking buttermilk. What a polite young man. Yep, everyone in the doors during their Glühwein. Glühwein, ja. Ja, voll. Glühwein. Ja, das gefällt mir sehr. Jedes Jahr während Fasching, das ist ja fabelhaft. Prima, ausgezeichnet. Ja, lecker. Yes, I'm actually not a big fan of Glühwein. I'm just having a little fun there. So let me close my mega window. And the poll is up now, folks. You can vote in that poll if you'd like. And there's your chance to vote. So South Africa Broadcasting Corporation's last-minute decision really pissed a lot of people off. And it didn't help my channel at all, Rugby Ascendant. I was shadow banned this weekend on that game. I had more people watch the Province Bulls game on Sunday than watch my live stream of Ireland and South Africa. That's unheard of. The least I ever get for a South Africa test match is 10, 15,000 views. I had 3,000 during the stream and no more than 103 followers concurrently. Usually I get 500 or 600 watching the show. That's insane. Clearly the shadow banning's in effect. But SABC screwed everybody with the last minute turnaround on the broadcast. South African Broadcasting Corporation made an 11th hour turn on the broadcast of the Springboks 2 Test home series against Ireland. On the eve of the first test, the public broadcaster said it had to review its decision to continue with the sub-license agreement with MultiChoice. Wow. So what they did is they announced that they compelled to review their license. That meant that only those with a DSTV subscription could actually watch the game. So there you go. So nobody got to watch that game. People were counting on watching the game. And on a Friday before the game on Saturday, that's when SABC screwed everybody. Well, that just shows you the incompetence and the ignorance, the stupidity, arrogance, and the asswipery of government-run institutions. Government should not be in the broadcasting business except to broadcast public service announcements, not to carry programming. Siya Kolisi wants improvement for the Durban test, and I agree. Rossi has avoided talking about the officiating in the game, which is a good idea. Siya Kolisi implored his teammates to sharpen their breakdown. Yes, exactly. Also, they need to sharpen a few more things. Yep. We do have room for improvement, and the breakdown is one of them, he said. Exactly. See, you are 100% correct, and there's more to improve than that, just that. Ladies and gentlemen, ZANU-PF will rule until donkeys grow horns. Yeah, not when donkeys fly, but when donkeys grow horns. That's according to a corrupt ZANU-PF fraud disguising and masquerading as a general in the Zimbabwe Defense Force. Yep. Zimbabwe's army commander said the country will have a command voting. They're going to force you to vote. Military leaders become prominent in politics since the coup. Lieutenant General Anselm Sanyatwa told a largely ZANU-PF crowd on Saturday that the country would have command voting. While speaking as the army commander, he said that people would be marched to voting stations to cast ballots whether you like it or not. Well, and Zimbabwe is a genuine democracy? Dream on. Dream on. Chad has eliminated a scourge. A medical scourge has been wiped out. A tropical disease targeted by the World Health Organization, human African tryptosomiasis, HAT, human African tryptosomiasis, has been wiped out. It's carried by the bite of a tsetse fly. Ugh. Nasty little buggers, tsetse flies. Chad has eliminated human African tryptosomiasis, a fly-borne tropical disease also known as sleeping sickness. The elimination marks a milestone for the agency's program targeting what it calls neglected tropical diseases. Chad is the 51st country to successfully eliminate the disease. Wow, it's caused by parasites and spread through the bite of a tsetse fly. The disease can take months or more than a year to progress, first causing flu-like symptoms and then crossing into the central nervous system. It can cause behavior changes, disrupt sleep, triggering aggression, and other symptoms. When left untreated, it nearly always is fatal. The disease comes in two forms, named after the tip parasite that caused the Gambinese form is most common and makes up about 92% of cases. So far, Togo, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Uganda, Equatorial Guinea, Ghana, and Chad have eliminated the disease. The other variant, the Rhodesian form, has been eliminated in Rwanda. Wow. Now, this form was much less prevalent, but now it's actually growing. Niger says 100 terrorists have been killed after a deadly attack. the military junta, which can be trusted for nothing in Niger. Niger's army said Thursday it killed more than 100 terrorists during air and ground operations responsible to a deadly attack against soldiers near the Burkina Faso border. A coalition of armed groups killed 20 troops and 1 civilian on June 25th, but now more than 100 terrorists have been killed in retaliation, according to the Force Armée Nigérienne military junta. Speaking of Niger, the United States military is largely leaving Niger, courtesy of the stupidity of their foreign policy. U.S. says troops are leaving Niger bases this weekend and in August after the coup. So there is Major General Kenneth Ekman from U.S. Africa Command, who is there at the end of May visiting Niger as U.S. pulls its troops out of that place. Well, Pezeshkian is Iran's new minister, a moderate in the lunatic country of Iran. Election comes 50 days after late President Ibrahim Raisi of the hardline Islamic conservative faction died in a helicopter crash. There he is right there in the middle, that handsome young man. Iran's newly elected president, Masoud Pezeshkian, a former foreign minister, Mohammad Javad Zarif, and Hassan Khomeini, the grandson of the Ayatollah Khomeini, on the right. Looking pretty white-like, isn't he? With his red beard. Yes, well, of course, being president in Iran doesn't mean a whole lot because the country is controlled by the supreme leader, who is a theocrat. It's a country run by theocrats. It's a lunatical society. China is spending big on fusion in a race for energy's holy grail, trying to dominate the market and outstripping the United States research. You don't believe in this cold fusion mumbo jumbo, do you? From the Saints. Yep. Val Kilmer. You don't believe in this cold fusion mumbo jumbo, do you? The high-tech race is underway between U.S. and China as both seek cold fusion. China now has 10 times as many PhDs in fusion science and engineering as the United States. 10 times as many PhDs. Wow. They only have 3 times their population, or 5 times their population, but they have 10 times many PhDs. That's where we're failing. This is under the current corrupt regime in Washington, D.C., which fails to do proper research. The yen is plummeting against the dollar. Why couldn't this happen in 2019 when I was in Japan for the World Cup? Could have saved myself a lot of money. The yen is plunging. So is Japan's defense budget, according to the New York Times. Japan buys most of its military hardware from the United States, and the exchange rate is going the wrong direction for them. We are achieving in terms of actual defense capabilities and original target. These things are not lined up, said the former defense minister. The value of the defense budget over 5 years has effectively been reduced by 30% because of the collapse of the yen. Wow. The budget of 43 trillion yen over 5 years is about 319 billion, but that is declining in dollar terms, and Japan is suffering its consequences as it tries to build up its military in response to the Chinese threat to Japan and its neighbors. France's Emmanuel Macron, the loser in the election, despite the fact he's still the president. Emmanuel Macron has refused to accept the resignation of the prime minister, telling Attal, you can't go. Yep, France's Macron keeps his prime minister in place for stability of the country after a chaotic election. French President Emmanuel Macron refused the resignation of the country's prime minister, asking him to remain temporarily as head of the government. French voters split the legislature on the left, center, and far right, leaving no faction even close to a majority to form a government. But the political left does have the majority as a grouping. Germany's Tony Cruz says that Germany's not safe for his daughter because of the unwanted criminal alien invasion, the mass rapes, the thieves, the theft, the murder that's taking place in Germany. It's unsafe for his daughter. Of course, he lives in Spain where he plays, and now he says that it's not safe for his daughter to return to Germany. Tony Cruz says he believes Germany's influx of migrants, criminal alien invaders, was too uncontrolled and the country has changed considerably in the 10 years since he left. The Germany and Real Madrid star, who returned to his home country for the Euros this summer, said he welcomed migrants but concluded that Germany was not successful in managing mass immigration. And he said that it's not safe for his daughter. Yep. He said he felt that Germany had become less secure since he left, was now concerned his child would not come back unharmed from a night out alone. I think Germany's a great country and I'm happy to be here, but it's not really the same country it was 10 years ago when we left. Duh, that's because of Angela Merkel, who destroyed this country 10 years ago. Well, Europe is in trouble. It cannot come up with a rocket to compete with SpaceX, but now they're trying. The Ariane 6, this is a collective government subsidized effort to overcome the private SpaceX. After years of delays, Europe is preparing to test launch a new rocket that officials hope will reduce the region's reliance on Elon Musk. Yep, the Ariane 6. With European rockets stuck on the ground, SpaceX has stepped in to fill the void. Its Falcon 9 has launched all of Europe's most important satellites over the past year. Most recent blow came last month when Europe's weather satellite agency canceled a contract to launch next year with Ariane 6 and hired SpaceX instead. Wow. Bummer. Ariane Space Israel representative said Ariane 6 will offer prices competitive with SpaceX's current rockets, and the new expendable vehicle offers advantages for customers. Yeah, sure. Wow. Germany has used SpaceX even for its most sensitive military intelligence satellites, two of which were launched in December. Yeah, Europe doesn't get it right. Well, the United Kingdom's new cabinet is off to a roaring start. Yeah, Kim Reeves is out there. Rachel Reeves, excuse me. I want to say Kim. Rachel Reeves unveils Labor's growth plan in her first major speech with her high water pants on. Somebody needs to tell her that they're too short. That's not a fashion statement. That's poor form. Rachel Reeves will lay out the new Labor government's plans to spur private investment. Well, what she's looking for, they don't want to raise taxes. They don't want to lower benefits. They don't want to stop giving money to criminal alien invaders. So what they plan to do is issue bonds by having suckers in the private market give them money for bonds. Well, UK is not a good bet. I wouldn't put my money there. Hurricane Beryl is barreling down on Texas, but it's not a hurricane. It's a tropical storm now. Yep, a tropical storm and a tropical depression tomorrow, but it is about to hit the coast of Texas. There you go. Oof, man, no thanks. So flights canceled at major Texas airports as Beryl wallops the state. Nearly 80% of flights at Houston's George Bush International Airport and 60% of flights at the Hobby Airport in Houston have been canceled. 84% of flights at Corpus Christi were canceled. Even more flights. Dallas, well away from the storm, 26 flights there were canceled, and 12 flights have been canceled at Love Field. Wow. That's a prudent move to make sure that nobody gets killed by that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the radio station person who told CNN that she had gotten questions from the Democratic National Committee to interview Joe Biden has parted ways with WURD in Philadelphia. The interview violates our practice, said WURD President and CEO Sarah Lomax. The station is not a mouthpiece for the Biden or any other administration. Wow. The head of the Philadelphia radio station said Sunday it's parted ways with a host who acknowledged that she interviewed Biden with questions submitted by his campaign, going against the station's practice and those other news outlets. Most news outlets. She said that WURD radio is not a mouthpiece for the Biden or any other administration, that we will commit to reviewing our policies, procedures, and practices to reinforce WURD's independence and trust with our listeners. But mainstream media should do its own introspection to explore how they have lost trust of so many Americans, black Americans chief among them. Ouch. In a 1-minute video she posted yesterday on Facebook, Lawful Sanders said that effective immediately, I'm no longer the on-air host at WURD. I tendered my resignation yesterday. It was accepted. Wow. Boy, Joe Biden loves black people so much he gets them fired. 4 more Democrats are staring down the barrel at Joe Biden saying, you must go, including the penguin himself, Jerry Nadler. Wow. Other Democrats have expressed concerns the president's prospects during a private Sunday call. Several more senior House Democrats called on Joe Biden to abandon his re-election bid in a private call convened by Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Among those forcefully calling for Biden to stand down were Jerry Nadler, Adam Smith, Mark Takano, and Joe Morell. Wow. All from deep leftist states, California, New York, and Washington State. My goodness, the calls for Joe to go. But Joe Biden's strategy doesn't make any sense. He has had his strategy boomerang on him. Joe Biden meant to set this whole campaign about Donald Trump and how evil and terrible Donald Trump is and how ineffective and how incompetent he is. And it's all come back on Joe Biden. Yep, that's right. Even the New York Times attacking Biden. Biden's campaign efforts to raise questions about Trump's ability to be president have boomeranged into a referendum on the president's own competence. From the outset of President Biden's re-election campaign, the plan for winning was to make former President Trump so unpalatable that voters, uneasy with the incumbent, would vote for him anyway. Well, no, it ain't working, Joe. It ain't working. Well, Biden, for his part, says, I am not leaving. In a letter, obviously written by Jill, not by Joe, he says it's time to come together to move forward as a united party and defeat Donald Trump. The question of how to move forward has been well aired over a week now. It's time for it to end. We have one job, and that's to beat Donald Trump. So Joe Biden, in a letter, obviously written by Jill, not by Joe. 2 pages. Wow, look at that. Joe Biden, President of the United States. No, not really. Not my president. Speaking of which, the guy's not my president. Joe Biden came to Harrisburg. Yeah, over the weekend. Yeah, he and the First Lady visited Harrisburg. They attended a campaign event on South 43rd Street with hundreds of supporters enjoying ice cream and a barbecue. He met with Harrisburg Mayor Wanda Williams, Governor Josh Shapiro, Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis, and others. He also met with Bob Casey and John Fetterman in Philadelphia earlier in the day. And he sticks to his script as allies call for a more freewheeling approach. Now, he spoke at a church. Can you see the image there? I see a few dozen supporters, but the media, the New York Times, carrying the water for him, says hundreds of people were present. Yeah. He read from notes at an address, no teleprompter, and he spoke for roughly 7 minutes. Wow. They say it's unscripted, but he had notes. That's scripted. Wow. And the New York Times claims that hundreds were present, but I didn't see hundreds. Did you see hundreds? I mean, that looks like a couple dozen people. Admittedly, that's not the entire church, but that's one side of the congregation, and I see maybe 60 people. A lot of empty spaces in the pews. And look at Joe Biden screaming there at the Mount Airy Church of God in Christ in Philadelphia. Now, speaking of Philadelphia, we have to go to the Hindustan Times. We have to go to India to get the truth about what actually happened at that church. The mainstream media are not reporting it. Joe Biden froze. Yeah, my mind's going blank. He froze. Concerns grow as Joe Biden sits in a trance at the Philadelphia church after pastor tells everyone to stand up, unfit to serve. Joe Biden, during a campaign stop in Philadelphia, sat in a trance for about 25 seconds after the pastor asked everyone to stand up. Amid growing calls to drop out of the race, Biden had yet another awkward moment in Philadelphia. The 81-year-old president sat when he was supposed to get up. So let's go watch this.
Let us stand together. Oh, at the cross, at the cross.
Okay. I put it on mute so I don't get a copyright claim here. But look at Joe Biden. Look at this. He was told to stand up. Can I get up now? Should I get up? My earpiece isn't working. What do I do? Look at me tapping so I know that the music's there. Okay, I'll get up now. Oh my God. Look at the lost. I mean, this is just sad and pathetic, folks. It's absolutely pathetic. That's Joe Biden. 25 seconds, completely lost. Now, they'll say that was edited. That wasn't edited. That was filmed by someone in the church. Why are people filming a church? That's very rude. Very rude. Well, ladies and gentlemen, overreach of the government, when the government's too big, too large, and interferes in all of the affairs of our life, this is a perfect example of it. Yet again, General Motors forced to pay $146 million fine for excessive car emissions for cars that they're not driving, cars that you and I are driving, that we chose because we like them, but they must pay it. The move marks a significant step to ensure compliance with Biden's most consequential climate rule, carbon dioxide emissions limits for cars, which is illegal. It comes after the Environmental Protection Agency investigation found that vehicles were emitting more than 10% higher CO2 than average than their reports claim. The EPA's vehicle standards depend on strong oversight in order to achieve public health benefits for the real world, said EPA Administrator Michael Regan, who should be sacked immediately. Our investigation has achieved accountability that upholds an important program that's reducing air pollution, protecting communities across the country. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It upholds a way for the government to grift and steal money from taxpayers. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of government, now this isn't government overreach, but this is government oversight, which is necessary. Boeing has pled guilty to the 737 MAX 8 criminal fraud charges related to deadly crashes. 2 pilots allegedly concealed crucial information about the aircraft's control system. They'll plead guilty to criminal fraud charge related to the 737 MAX 8 for the crashes that occurred in 2018 and 2019. News comes 6 months after the high-profile Alaska Airlines door blew out on a 737 MAX 9. Prosecutors reported claim that 2 pilots of the company covered up critical information about the aircraft's automated control system from the FAA. It's a stunning contrast to Boeing violating a 2021 settlement that ultimately protected it from prosecution. Wow, not good for Boeing. Well, here's more bad news for Joe Biden. The White House doctor who gave him a clean bill of health apparently was directing contracts to his criminal enterprise family. Wow. The Biden doctor who gave him a glowing health report helped him cash in on the business deal. Good God. President Biden's White House physician helped the Biden family secure a big payout from a failed hospital venture back in 2018. And lawmakers are now questioning whether his doctor's involvement in the family business marred his objectivity in diagnosing Biden's cognitive abilities. The new questions about White House physician Kevin O'Connor's medical judgment rose amid rapidly growing concerns among voters and Democratic leaders about Biden's fitness for duty. Wow. So, my goodness. In February, Dr. O'Connor determined Mr. Biden is a healthy, active, robust 81-year-old male who remains fit to successfully execute the duties of presidency. But they're now questioning Dr. O'Connor's medical independence, pointing to his involvement in helping the president's younger brother pull in $600,000 from a deal with AmeriCorps, a rural hospital corporation, back in 2017. Some of the money from the deal Dr. O'Connor helped secure went directly into Mr. Biden's bank account in the form of $200,000 check labeled as a loan repayment. A loan repayment. These people are so corrupt. So corrupt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, these queer farmers, I didn't know we had queer farmers. I guess people identify as sons, thought they were just farmers. But apparently we have queer farmers. These queer farmers are angry at the Tractor Supply store. Yes, they're boycotting Tractor Supply and want you to join them. This from The Advocate, the gay publication. After the feed and farm retailer issued a statement disavowing all diversity efforts, queer people who shop there say, no more, no more. Now, this company headquartered in Brentwood, Tennessee, operates over 2,200 stores across the country, serving rural areas. The company is previously recognized for its inclusive policies, earning a 95 out of 100 score on the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index. However, after backtracking and dropping all of these racially discriminating policies, now the queer community is angry at Tractor Supply Store. And I submit this. If you are angry because Tractor Supply Store doesn't give someone preferential treatment based on their sexual orientation, their ethnicity, their origin, then you are a bigot and you are wrong. And if anybody in the gay community supports this garbage, they are wrong. Tractor Supply Store is supposed to be a business providing supplies and resources as a retailer to people in the rural communities. It's not there to create jobs for black farmers. It's not there to create jobs for white farmers or gay or straight farmers. Its job is to make a profit for its shareholders. And anybody who supports us from the gay community is simply wrong, or other area of the community. So shame on you. Well, speaking of wrong, customers in Lancaster, Pennsylvania are whining about Costco having stalls for the Amish buggies with their horses. The Amish apparently love to shop at Costco, and that's their prerogative. But some people don't like to walk a few extra feet from the parking lot. This is pathetic. Lazy Americans. The internet is divided over Costco store's concession for Amish customers in Pennsylvania. A store in Lancaster County provides an area in its parking lot where shoppers can leave their horse and buggy, the traditional Amish form of transport. Given that Lancaster is the oldest and largest Amish community, what is known as the Pennsylvania Dutch Country, many customers are unsurprised to see the slightly unusual parking spots. But others on social media claim they're irritated by the feature. There you go. There you go. So Costco leaves spaces for pregnant women. It leaves spaces for the disabled. And because they made a shed at the side of the parking lot, this hurts somebody's feelings. They're spaced out and include cover stalls for the animals to wait. They also come with a shovel and a hose should owners need to clear up any poo mess while they're there. Costco in Lancaster has proven popular among the Amish, who typically make a living from farming and building due to discounted prices. Yes, Costco provides a very... That's not the way you write that sentence. Due to discounted prices, Costco has remained popular. Boy, these people don't know how to write. Anyway. So, apparently this hurts their feelings. There you can see the parking lot there. Some Reddit users taking the internet to complain about the parking. I go to the same Costco. I get so irritated they have prime parking. Why isn't there parking in the lower lots so we don't have to see and smell crap? Others have said the parking lot is horrific. Please, grow up. Children. Well, the Wall Street Journal reveals a $50 billion scam taking money out of our pockets as taxpayers for Medicare. Yet insurers pocketed $50 billion from Medicare for diseases that no doctor treated. Questionable diagnosis of HIV and other maladies triggered extra Medicare Advantage payments, and it's anatomically impossible, according to those testifying. Yep. Gloria Lee was perplexed when the phone call started coming in from a representative of her Medicare insurer. Could a nurse stop by her Boston home and give her a quick checkup? It was a helpful perk, no cost. In fact, she'd get a $50 gift card. After several such calls, she agreed. A nurse showed up, checked her over, asked her questions, then diagnosed her with diabetic cataracts. The finding was good news for her insurance company, United Health Group. Medicare pays insurers more for sicker patients. In the case of someone like Lee with diabetic cataracts, up to $2,700 more a year at the time. But the retired accountant doesn't have diabetes. Her own doctor later said, let alone the cloudy vision sometimes caused by the disease. Wow. Medicare Advantage, the $450 billion a year system which private insurers oversee Medicare benefits, grew out of the idea that the private sector would provide health care more economically. It has swelled over the past 2 decades, covering more than half the 67 million seniors and disabled people on Medicare. This guy right here, this is a doctor, an ophthalmologist, Dr. Howard Chen, who billed illegitimately, according to the Wall Street Journal. Well, the Bloomberg Corporation under Michael Bloomberg has given $1 billion to Johns Hopkins, a university that has a questionable history of racial discrimination. The donation from Bloomberg Philanthropies is also to expand further aid for the school's graduate programs, nursing, and public health. A $1 billion gift to Johns Hopkins, located in Baltimore, Maryland. Yep. So, students with families earning up to $175,000 can have their living expenses and fees covered. Those whose family earns less than $300,000 can get all their tuition paid. $65,000 a year. That must be nice. Good for them. Right. So where are we at here? How are we doing on the poll? Okay. All right. Let me get back to the chat here. Sorry, folks. Something in my throat. It boggles my mind that Biden is your president, so no one has stepped in. Also that the other candidates are so useless as well. Well, I don't agree that the candidates are so useless, but I do agree that it's shocking he's the president. What else have I missed here? It's kids scary because your enemies are also watching, so I hope they're not taking a chance with your country. Don't worry, we've got a strong bite. I've read quite a few articles say Michelle Obama may run for president. What are your thoughts? No, it's been talked about ever since 2020. Look, anything can happen here. The Democratic National Party is a corrupt organization that violates its own rules. That's how Hillary Clinton became their nominee, a felon who became their nominee in 2016. So anything can happen. So I'm not going to discount it, but I mean, it's nonsense. She has no business being the president. Her husband had no business being the president. He's the most treasonous person served in the White House until Joe Biden in the past 5 decades. John is accusing Charles of being complicit in some removal. Huh? What's going on there? And there is Samson Joseph has subscribed. Thank you for that. Wow, I wish we'd get more subscriptions. What else we got here? John says, just go and check the breakdown of a prepaid kilowatt hour. You will not find an NCC, and you will not find a big difference in pre and post charges. Okay. All right. What do I think about CERN? You talking about CERN in Switzerland? No issues with CERN. How dare they say the truth? Well, you guys are... Hey, Sean's back. Hey, Sean. My nuts were cut off yesterday. I had my nuts cut off the other day. I had to replace the studs on my car because they were swollen. My nuts were swollen, so they had to be cut off. It was painful, folks. I'm telling you, when they cut my nuts off, it hurt like hell. It cost me 2,600 rand. $280. All right, what else we got here in the chat? So get us to 100 votes and I'll close the poll. Okay. All right. Sue says, okay, I already got that one. So I'm back to where I'm at here. Helen the Teddy Bear Snatcher. What's that all about? I keep missing that. Okay. What else? Your honorable president, says Courts. Okay. You have to give Gayton his due. What he did to get box seats at the rugby. He didn't have to do anything, Charles. He, as the sports minister, they get those things for free. Yeah, it will be a costly payout. Welcome to the third world. Boeing is well known for coming up with technical blunders to aid ticket sales. Ticket sales? You mean plane sales? Boeing also ends whistleblowers. Rumor has it, queer farmers, do they breed LGBT unicorns? Thank you for that one. I know that's funny. Oh, my goodness. Sandy Hunt's back. Hey, Sandy, how's it going? Any more books for me to read? Writing with Southampton credentials. What is that? So we've had a good live audience, but the total views are really low. Yeah, so hospitals live for all 7 claims awarding the Kowalski family. Wow, what's that all about? Roger Roberts here. Good to see you there, man. It's been a while. Okay. Do your research on CERN. You might change your mind. Well, PK, I mean, that's way vague. You're going to tell me what the issue is, why you're concerned? Oh, he ran for government to get rugby tickets. Okay, I got you. I get the joke then. What are your predictions in foreign policy in the next Trump era? Well, Emery, I don't think there's going to be a major focus on Africa for Trump. There wasn't in the first administration. There easily isn't in any administration. The Bush administration was the exception, and that's the only one that really put a real focus on Africa. Obama neglected it. Trump neglected it. Biden neglected it. So Trump will be deeply involved in the Israel issue, deeply involved in getting the war in Ukraine over, and he'll be busy trying to contain China. Beyond that, I'm not really sure what the foreign policy will look like because he's got so many other things to do. So many things to do. So anyway, that's my predictions on foreign policy for the next Trump era. The nonsense about Trump will make the U.S. leave NATO, that's impossible. These people, they're embarrassing. They don't even understand how government works. Trump cannot leave. It's like Obama put us under the Paris Climate Accord. No, he didn't. He has no authority to do that. Only the Senate can ratify a treaty. That agreement is a treaty. You cannot oblige the United States and its citizens to live under the terms of foreign agreement unless the Senate ratifies it. That's one of the checks and balances in our system so that we don't have imperial presidents. Although we have presidents who try to be imperial, you cannot approve a treaty. That's why the START talks, the Strategic Arms Limitation talks, or the SALT talks, never became treaty binding. We did go into the anti-ballistic missile treaty, but that's because the Senate approved it. But we didn't go into SALT because it was never ratified by the Senate. And the Rome Statute was never ratified by the Senate. That's why we're not in the International Criminal Court. So Clinton can sign us up to the ICC, which he did, but we never ratified it. So we're not part of it. And we are not part of the Paris Climate Accord. And all this nonsense when Trump was president, well, he can't just take us out. Who is he to take us out? We're not in. We're not in. Trump rescinded the nonsense that Obama put in place, and we move forward. So it's pretty simple. PK says your dad had 5 shots. What does that have to do with the mission of CERN? I'm sorry, PK. I have empathy for your adopted father, but what does that have to do with CERN? You asked me what my thoughts about CERN were. See, you didn't give me any context here. You didn't. And now you're coming at me telling me that apparently they forced people to get the clot. Is that what you asked me what CERN is? CERN to me is a place where they do particle research. That's what it is to me. Russia will get Crimea and Donbass, allow perfect countries to join NATO. Well, it doesn't matter, Emery. They've already joined NATO. We've already seen Finland and Sweden join NATO. Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania are all part of NATO. So that's a fait accompli. Russia already has Crimea and the Donbass. That's a fait accompli. And they've had it since 2008 or 2009 when Obama was president. Johns Hopkins was sued for refusing the mother access to her daughter. The mother committed suicide. Oh, gotcha, Sandy. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Johns Hopkins is an evil organization. Evil. Their foreign policy program, oof, man, some of the graduates of that are some of the biggest dingbat doorknobs I've ever met. It's a great program, but the people come out of it, some of them real idiots. When I was bitten by a dog and went in for a tetanus shot, the doc suggested, oh, yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no. It's every time I've gone to clinic, in the year they push that stuff to make money from Moderna, Pfizer, and all the other ones. They try to push that stuff. Yep. Drop in a Bucket says, growing up in the Cape, we together with people of all walks of life and a world-class state-owned hospital, Tigerberg, for the cost of registration fee. Carlos says, good evening. Do you know what drills America will be doing now in Botswana? What are you talking about? We were just there for the African Army Chiefs meeting. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, PK, but you didn't tell me that. You asked me what my thoughts of CERN are. I can't read your mind. Oh, Georgia and Ukraine. No, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Georgia's too remote, and Ukraine is the second most corrupt country in Europe. Why no country starts SATO? Because the treaty organization obliges people to act in warfare. And who wants a SATO? Anyway, all right, so we're at 100. I'm going to close the poll. End the poll. So 65% of the respondents said this is way too much money, and 35% said bigger problems to worry about. Well, I find myself in the minority here, South Africa. My audience has said that 670 million rand is ridiculous for a cabinet, and I disagree. I think that that's not an unreasonable amount of money for a cabinet. $35 million. I bet you. I wish we would pray that our cabinet costs so little money. Actually, the real issue here is the size of the cabinet. It's bloated. It's too big, and that we can agree. And I think South Africa has far bigger problems to worry about $35 million. Yep. All right, John and Charles, I'm going to ask both of you to cease and desist right now. Both of you, or I'll just start blocking both of you. Because you want to have a private conversation, then contact each other on WhatsApp and have it out there. Don't have it out in my chat. You're polluting the chat, and it's nonsense. Both of you, please stop. I've asked right now. If it doesn't stop in the next minute, then I'm just going to give people timeouts. Depends what the money be used for. Well, I agree. If they do their jobs in cabinet, the money is not a problem. Exactly, scientists, but the problem is they won't do their job, and that's why people are upset. No reason to apologize, Charles. No reason for John to apologize. You guys got in a conversation. You're going back and forth. That's fine. But I don't think you realize the impact you're having in the conversation. That's why I just ask people to stop. No need for either John or to Charles to apologize. No need for either one of them to be angry, upset. I'm not upset. I'm just asking you to stop. That's it. Charles has stopped. I presume John has stopped as well, and they're both being adults. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Anyway, Samson Joseph just subscribed. That was a few minutes ago. So let's go back and take a look at that video on, what's it, 4,600 now, on Orania. My video is not going to get 250,000 views. See, it's just not going to happen. So, and you could make the argument, well, the content's just not that good. Okay, that's fair. I'll accept that. Of course, I know that's not true. But I'll accept that. But it's not going to get it because it's hidden. It's hidden. Anyway, yeah, so now everybody stop chatting. Folks, you can chat. You can ask your questions. I know you did, Hendo. I know you promoted. I appreciate that. Everybody stop chatting. People are angry because they see around your works. It's not just a concept. That's part of it, Emery, but the point that I made, I think, is also valid, and that is that people fear what they don't understand, and people default, leftists, whites, liberals, apologists, race baiters, and black supremacists default to, when they look at a white person, they see them as racist. Now, that's bigotry. If they take action based on that, that's racism. And that's just all too common. Now, no doubt there are white people that look at black people and go, oh, they're racist too, or inferior. There are some white people who do that, but it happens all too often. Hey, Mary Sinclair, how's it going? So let me just read to you an exchange between LMC and myself. LMC, are you here? Are you silently in the chat? If you are, that'd be great. So let's just, let me read through LMC's comments, and then I'll tell you my response, okay? Yes, the own labor is critical because it's a key distinction between what South Africa was and what Orania is. Now, LMC, who comments on my videos frequently after the fact, rarely comes into the chat during the live streams, but I know he watches the live streams, or she. I don't even know if LMC is a man or woman. It could be either. LMC frequently comments, and oftentimes comments on things completely unrelated to the video, not germane. This time, LMC commented on the video and commented on things that were germane. However, the comments are, I believe, wrong-headed, let me say. So this is LMC. It says, the start of your analysis here is a bit disingenuous. You describe the obsession with Orania as odd, even though South Africa is most famous for apartheid. So an obsession with Orania is predictable and expected. It's odd that you would think it's odd. If the question was posed to school kids, why is Orania infamous in South Africa, they would accurately identify that it is because South Africa's history of racial segregation instituted by an Afrikaner ruling class. Well, I didn't even address this, but I would take exception to that. The reason that school kids would say that in South Africa is because they've been indoctrinated by the fake media. He said, it is odd that you would compare the Ingonyama Trust to Orania. The Zulu kingdom predates the formation of South Africa and was not involved in the establishment of the country of South Africa. The land under the trust is administered under customary law. That does not mean that you, as a white person, cannot live there. It's even in the wording in the act. This land is held in trust for the material benefit and welfare of the tribes and communities by the Inganyoma, who is the sole trustee. It does not say it is land that is only occupied by Zulus, only that the land is governed by the customary law of the Zulu nation. The reason they are not described as a religious cult is because the whole "it's for Afrikaner Christians" explanation of it came later. The true origin objective of Oranje was a Volksstaat for white people with an impending end of apartheid looming. It's funny that you laugh at the early articles calling it a white supremacist dream of carving out a nation, but that was literally their initial intention. They literally have their own fake currency. True, they have the aura. You say that politicians and journalists have unjust fear, but I don't see where you get that anyone fears Oranje. People hate what it represents in the context of South Africa. We can pretend that it is a cultural village, but they did not mince their words originally in the early days. There were documentaries done, I believe. A popular one was Louis Theroux, and they were clear about what they were about. The town itself has bust of only apartheid leaders. They have their own fake currency. They are the epitome of the rejection of the democratic South Africa. I don't care what Oranje exists and what they choose to do, but you are downplaying a lot of the real context. Well, let me add a little bit of context to that. First off, they are not the epitome of not wanting to be part of South Africa. Number one, they pay taxes in South Africa. Number two, they purchased their land legally in South Africa. Number three, they defended their land against a land claim legally in South Africa in the context of New South Africa. Number four, they vote in elections in South Africa, including votes for the EFF. So how are they not part of South Africa? That's misleading. So now this is my response, okay? So, disingenuous, and I put the definition. Disingenuous means lacking in frankness, candor, or sincerity, falsely or hypocritically ingenious, insincere. Now, I said your claim is entirely unwarranted and ignores the question of the video and purpose for its creation, which makes your response the disingenuous commentary, not mine. Where he said, even though South Africa is most famous for apartheid, I said, so says you. Most folks who think of South Africa under the age of 40, whom I've met on 4 different continents, think of Mandela, Rainbow Nation, rugby, gold, or diamonds, not apartheid. I said, you sell South Africa short. Now, I said the Zulu kingdom predates the formation of South Africa and was not involved in the establishment of the country of South Africa. The land under the trust is administered under customary law. I said, now we see an actual example of someone being disingenuous. You, LMC. The existence of the Zulu Empire is not germane. If it is, then so is Stellaland, the Orange Free State, and the South African Republic. But they're also not germane. The Inganyoma Trust is a corporate entity established by the KwaZulu Legislative Assembly as a repository for the communal land. In other words, a corporate entity, just like Oranje. So the comparison is apt. My comparison of the Inganyoma Trust to Oranje is perfectly suitable. The Inganyoma Trust is a corporate entity. Oranje is a corporate entity. He says it does not say that it is land that can only be occupied by Zulus. And I said, well, you're correct. So how many white Afrikaners live in the trust? I said, you can try to make a point. I said, you try to make a point and you only reinforce my point, noting nothing prevents black, Indian, or coloreds from moving to Oranje, provided they meet the corporation standards, just like the Inganyoma Trust. Those who are black, Indian, or colored who speak Afrikaans and are Dutch Calvinists can live in Oranje. Only 97% of the population is white, not the whole 100%. He said, it's funny that you laugh at the early articles calling it a white supremacist dream of carving out a nation, but that was literally their initial intention. I said, as to their intention, I said, that's your assessment. And then I said, I laugh because the so-called journalists were wrong 30 years ago when they derided Oranje and remain wrong today, yet continue their racist narrative against the town. He says, but I don't see where you get that anyone fears Oranje. My response, seriously? Did you not hear Panyaza Lesufi's mindless rant? And what of Abe Apteten's nonsense? Excuse me. Appeton says he felt uncomfortable throughout his visit to Oranje. I've been to places where I was the only black man. I've been to places where I was the only wheelchair user, but this is something else. What really bothers me is that Oranje seems to be the first phase of a larger project for white people only. All over the world, there are right-leaning groups who hope that this is successful. Sounds like fear to me. We can pretend that it is a cultural village, but they did not mince their words originally in the early days. I said, it's interesting, LMC, that you continue to go to the founding of the town as if it represents what the town is today. Talk about disingenuous. Few of the current inhabitants have been there since the outset. And I said, you ignore what they've accomplished largely on their own. And he says, I don't care about that Iran exists and what they choose to do, but you are downplaying a lot of the real context. My response, au contraire. If you did not care, then why draft a novel for others to read? If you do not care, why are you so invested in the story? I've not downplayed any context. Time is limited. People only watch videos up to a certain length. There are other topics to consider in regard to Iranian. I said, but as is so often the case, you entirely missed the whole point of this video. Perhaps it is intentional on your part, perhaps not. But I made the video to address the endless demands that I travel to Irania. So the question remains, why are people like you so obsessed with Irania? And that was my response. A lot of typos in there. I just saw a lot of typos. Yep. So. Right. The odd thing for me is the EFF and like don't want whites around, and when the whites go to literally the middle of nowhere, they complain about the fact they want. Exactly. It's because they want to eliminate white South Africans. There is a segment of South Africa's political elite that don't want white South Africans there. Yes, Iranians on private property. Exactly. Exactly. Aitzion says the amount compared to the tax base, I think he's talking about the poll, is what's bothering folks. Is it not inferred that Nganyoma Trust is exclusive for Zulus? Exactly, it is inferred. Well, not inferred, it's implied, not inferred. I infer, you infer, but they imply. It is implied that it is. It says communities. It says they're tribal communities. And so, that doesn't say the Afrikaner tribe. When I think of South Africa, I think of Biltong. See, Emery, you're not thinking of apartheid, are you? You think of Biltong, exactly. All right, and rugby. I know of Kleinfontein, Oranje. How many such places are there in South Africa? Only a handful. James Bowie said, I thought you said Irani was good. Well, so did I, James, but it won't get many views. It won't get many views. People of Irani expect everyone to contribute to the community. They bought a piece of land and made it profitable. If any other culture did that, it would not be in the news. Yeah, they took a piece of desolate, remote land that was disused. They bought it legally. Then they stood down a land claim and won the land claim. Well, the government gave a settlement rather than take the land from them. So, yeah, they succeeded there. They've built their own community. They do not exploit black South Africans. They don't. People live in the community responsible for doing the work themselves. Now, there are legitimate complaints about Irania. Number one, it's the middle of nowhere. Number two, it fosters unintentionally the concept that these people are racist. That's not their intent. But some of the comments from some of the residents are not helpful at times. And the other one, too, quite frankly, is that there's a reason why the Afrikaners in Oranje are able to accomplish things without black African labor. A lot of the labor burden is dumped on women. Ooh, that's going to get me in trouble with some of the right-wingers in Oranje. Women carry more than their fair share of the burden of labor there. And that's a legitimate complaint. Brivelice, Rugby, Zonneskin, and Chevrolet. Okay, old TV ad. Yes, Irania is successful. It does make people angry. Yep. It's just like, look, I mean, let's go back to this, folks. Okay, so it's the height of the lockdown, March or April of 2020. And a black journalist for SABC goes to an informal settlement in Pretoria where desperately poor white people live. Is there a reason why you have racially segregated your informal settlement? Why you don't let black people live here? The very confused, very poor white guy who's like the elder in the town, just standing here looking at him going like, do you remember that? I mean, that along with it's a mostly peaceful, I should have saved that video. It's a mostly peaceful, I'm standing here in front of a mostly peaceful protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Yeah, the most hilarious, stupid cognitive dissonance moments you're ever going to see. You're asking dirt poor white people who don't even get grants from the government because they're white, while the black people in the township right next door get grants. So the black people should move there and then be denied grants because they're living with the white people? Stupid idiots. Ah, boy. The headline just said huge military. Well, you're going to give me the location, Carolus? I don't know what you're talking about. Huge military exercise coming to Botswana. Okay, let me do a search. What outlet is that? Huge military exercises coming to Botswana. Okay. Are you talking about Southern Accord? Oh, there it is. Huge military exercise comes to Botswana. Okay, June 28th. Okay. So I'm reading the entire article. Not one article says how many troops are involved. How do you claim an exercise is huge when you don't even say how many troops are involved? There's no mention of it here. It's Southern Accord. We do this every single year in Southern Africa. It's not new. U.S. and Botswana finalize, this is from the National Guard. Now, maybe they'll tell us how many troops. No mention how many troops are here. United States Army and Botswana Defense Force completed planning for Southern Accord. Joint exercise cooperation. Representatives from the Carolina Guard and the BDF and the Southern European Task Force. It'll be the first major bilateral exercise held in Botswana since 2012. Okay, but we hold it in Southern Africa every year, usually in Logatla in South Africa. Yep. Southern Accord. It's no big deal. What's not you, but what's the obsession with this? This is what militaries do. They train together. Strange people want to go and stay in Irania so badly because they can't stand to see a community minding its own business and thriving. They want to set up a squatter camp. A lot of people criticize Irania and the idea behind it. If would give them the chance to create their own enclave of people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you, Carlos, but there's nothing to it. It's a normal thing. Southern Accord is a part of a series of exercises under the African Command, something that I told people about publicly when the command was formed. I wrote about it. I've been published repeatedly in journals as well as in a book from Stellenbosch University about the purpose of these things. This is nothing untoward. Now, let's just roll the clock back, okay? 2008. Oh, Africa Command. Who are the Americans to divide Africa up? Ooh, they're going to erode sovereignty and take over African countries. What African country has America taken over since 2008? Not a single one. Whose sovereignty we violated? Not a single one. When a military junta overthrew its government that was democratically elected illegitimately and told us to footsec, what are we doing? We're footsecking. We're leaving Niger, despite pouring $500 million in there over the past 15 years. We're leaving. How are we impinging on sovereignty? But they don't look at it that way and go, well, the Americans actually left when they were told to. No. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. The black people got over it. They're kicking the Americans out. Ha ha ha. What the hell? Nonsense. Utter nonsense. I'm so sick of this. Just the people who've never lived near power, real power, the ability to drop ordnance on your head right now from anywhere on the planet with a decision made in Washington, in Stuttgart, or elsewhere. I've been next to that power, been part of that power structure. And to see this nonsense go on and on and on, particularly from that Nick Turse lunatic who doesn't always talk about, 178 military bases in Africa. What a moron. My father was a dominee, okay, in Kleinfontein. Yeah, leave us alone. Hell alone, yep. Okay, what else? Pip Jacobs is here. Hey, Pick, how's it going? Race identity politics always wins. People don't understand how much the government hurts them. The government does not want unity. No, it doesn't. Huge might refer to the physical size of troops. Well, it might, Emery. I see colonels that are really busting their belt lines at the War College, which is very sad and depressing. Yep. You're welcome, Carlos. Thank you for bringing it up. No, I covered that story a few weeks ago. About Southern Accord and, well, a week and a half ago, I should say, not a few weeks ago. Yep. But sorry you missed that. Yeah, no, that's not a big deal. So we have Southern Accord. We have the maritime series of exercises. We have the air series of exercises. They take place all over Africa. Yeah, so we used to have Eastern Accord. We do that in Uganda back in the day. In fact, I wonder if I've got that video. I should show that. Where's that at? Documents. Shoot, I don't know. That's AFRICOM. I don't think I have that thing on here. I need to find that video. So AFRICOM. Let me see if I can find that. That is with Gail McCabe. Let me see what she's got here. Trying to find this. Can't think of the name of it, the video, so. Closer look, that's not it. No, that's her program. Wow, that's when Gail McCabe came there. This is from her visit in 2009. I was in charge then. Gail McCabe, a journalist for the U.S. Army Broadcast Network, Soldiers and Radios Television, recently visited the Office of Security Cooperation in Gaborone to film interaction with U.S. soldiers and Botswana Defense Force. McCabe's footage will be incorporated a 30-minute documentary on U.S. Africa Command will be on soldiers and sailors, or soldiers, radio, and television. Members of the OSC arranged visits and interviews with senior members of the BDF and local non-government organizations. He interviewed Brigadier General Dekobe, and then, at the Defense Staff College. Although the relationship between Army soldiers and the Office of Security Cooperation was a key focus of McCabe's visit, she also sought to film their interaction in recent projects with the civil sector. She visited the Botswana-based Tebopele, Setswana for Going Forward, and Stepping Stones International in Machuti. Yep. Cool beans. This is a good story. So I'm trying to find... where is the story? So what was it called? She did the documentary. 30-minute documentary, U.S. Africa Command. What the hell's the name of that thing? Oh, I got a scam. Somebody's calling me, trying to scam me over here. Anyway, Gail McCabe. What the heck is the name of that damn thing? Gail McCabe, AFRICOM documentary. Let me see if I can find that. Come on. Is it around here? The Promise of AFRICOM. That's it. The Promise of AFRICOM. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Part 1. Where's the rest of it? Not downloading. Promise of AFRICOM. That's what I need to look for. I'm in that video, so let me find that. Google Promise of AFRICOM. Gail McCabe. Here we go. It's not loading for some reason. Get this up on here. This is a documentary she filmed back in 2009.
Challenging, a professional challenge, but the ramifications are both, personally rewarding as well as professionally rewarding.
Okay, I'm going to jump ahead and try to get to where they get to Botswana. It's Kenya. I'm going to get to the Botswana portion. Come on, it's taking a long time here. So, I hope everyone here has watched the Orania video. That'd be nice. Okay, it's not loading for some reason. Okay, this is... Oh, here we go. This is not even our stuff. How was that part 2? That's interesting. So where's part 1 at then? That's interesting. That's not... This thing won't load. I don't know why it won't load. Part 1 won't load. Let me see if I can find it somewhere else. Boy, everybody's got this thing posted. Air Force has got it posted. Not everybody, but several people. So let's see. Oh, won't load it. That's African Land Forces. Some that's not it. Headquarters Marine Forces. Let me see. Okay, that one's trying to load now. Anyway, well, Promise of AFRICOM, so.
For 25 years, and is happy to say he's been a signature weapons.
Issues and
Have traveled his time, the school.
the Chinese.
Crisis response.
Gastrointestinal, and we'll probably go.
So there must be 3 parts to it because that's part 1. Part 2, I don't see the Botswana portion. That sucks. That sucks. Anyway, so Promise of AFRICOM. That's interesting. Can't find the whole thing. See if it comes up there. Huh. Nope, keeps coming up. It's not there. Well, I have it on DVD, so I'll have to play it sometime. Let me see if I've got, I don't think I have it on my drive here. Documents. I had it on my old computer. Promise of Africa. Not there. Okay. Maybe on this drive. It's looking. Anyway, yeah. So, 102 people here, 119 likes. Thanks for that, folks. Be sure to hit the like button. And we're going to wrap it up here shortly. I just want to find that video. So, Promise Africa. So I could build a proper wall. Should be cheaper than the cost of unemployment. That's true, drop in a bucket. But it isn't going to happen. It isn't going to happen because the elites benefit from this. Thank you for your effort. I'll search for it and watch it. No, I don't think you're going to find it. So, Promise of Africa, it's by Gail McCabe back in 2009. She made it. It was fantastic. And I'm trying to find it. It sucks because I'm in the video, and and it's actually pretty good. But I cannot find it. I don't know why it's not there. So, yeah, Gail McCabe is a journalist. She lives in Atlanta now. She did all kinds of stuff for European Command, Armed Forces Radio and Television. Yeah, and she's a good interviewer. I interviewed Gail McCabe on this program, so yeah, you can find that on this program if you like. Yeah, Gail McCabe. It was great to see her. So anyway, all right, we're going to wrap it up here. Be sure to hit the like button. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you. Please check out the Irania video if you haven't, and do it with an open mind. It's not an all-encompassing video. The point is to address why I'm doing it, because people keep asking me to go to Irania, and I'm trying to, why are people so obsessed with it? Relax, let go. All right, be sure to hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, become one, and we'll catch you here next time. Well, maybe tomorrow for sure. I'll be appearing on another program on Friday, but I will be doing my stuff after that. And then we'll have Vena Titoy be on the program next Monday. And I'm trying to get a few other people on before that, so we'll see. All right? What's the best way to contact you? I sent you an email, but I don't know if it's still active. Well, Emery, where did you send an email to is the question. So let me go to my email. I don't check it that much, so I need to go check and see if you sent it the email that's associated with this account. Oh, okay. Yeah, I found you. Okay. Okay, yeah, I've got your email. But you just sent it at 10:08 this morning. That's correct. That's good. Yep. Yep, that's the right. You sent it to the right place. So, yep, but I don't go in there very often. So. But thanks for reminding me. So all you do is remind me and I go check it. So I have a bunch of email addresses and I don't use a lot of them. I just check them occasionally. All right, so there you go. That's the right one. You hit the right one. So I'll look at your email and I'll try to respond to it. No, I am using it. It's associated with this account. But I mean, I have one associated with all my YouTube accounts. And so I don't check most of them. Anyway, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. And I'll look at it. Yeah, now you know. But you just need to remind me in a chat, if you sent me an email, because there are times I don't look at that email for 2 or 3 weeks. I fall behind. So I get people try to send me stuff on Twitter messages, which are terrible. Twitter messages never work properly. I never get them. And they try to send me emails. So, yeah. All right. Stay warm. Stay safe. Be good out there, buddy. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Y'all take care, and we'll see you later on. Thanks for being here. Cheers.